Welcome to this deep dive. Today, we're really digging into something, well, super practical, super powerful, how you can actually build and expand your English vocabulary. If you're tuning in, chances are you're someone who, loves gaining knowledge, wants those aha moments, and really just doesn't want to feel buried in information.
Exactly. And we've got a great set of sources here, articles, some research, video transcripts too. It's a real mix.
Yeah, covering different angles.
From the basics right up to some pretty advanced techniques.
So our mission today, it's to sift through all that, pull out the most crucial insights, the really practical tips.
The actionable stuff.
And help you figure out what works best for you, whether you're just starting out or really looking to refine things.
Okay, let's get into it. One of the first things that jumps out from these sources is why vocabulary is so important. I mean, it's more than just, knowing fancy words.
Right. It's not about showing off, like that example, using sobriquet when nickname works just fine.
Exactly. That's actually mentioned.
The sources are really clear. It's about effective communication, being able to get your thoughts across clearly and precisely.
Yeah, that specific phrase, clearly and precisely, pops up. It's a good example itself, isn't it? They're similar, but using both adds a layer of nuance.
A bit more emphasis.
Right. A richer vocabulary gives you that kind of accuracy.
And something I maybe hadn't fully grasped before is how much it helps you understand other people.
Oh, definitely.
When you know the words they're using, or you can figure them out from context because you've seen similar words, you just get their meaning much quicker in conversations, reading.
Absolutely. And that ties directly into confidence, which the sources mention a lot.
Okay.
When you're not constantly searching for the right word, you feel much more comfortable. Socially, academically, professionally.
You can focus on the actual conversation.
Exactly. Focus on what you want to say, not just struggling with how to say it.
That seems huge. And there's even research mentioned suggesting vocabulary size is a really strong predictor of academic success.
Yeah, general vocabulary knowledge. It makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Understand more words, understand more concepts.
Totally. And what about writing? Even just quick emails or messages?
Oh, for sure. Having the right word handy cuts down on confusion, misunderstandings, makes things smoother.
Okay, so the why is definitely strong. Clarity, confidence, comprehension, it touches everything. So where do we start? What are the absolute cornerstones according to these sources?
Across the board, it comes down to exposure, reading and listening. Reading especially is highlighted again and again as the most effective, most sustainable way.
And not just casually reading, right? They talk about reading extensively, voraciously even.
Yeah, whatever interests you. Books, articles, blogs, magazines, scripts, doesn't matter. Variety is key.
Variety. Okay, why is that so important?
Well, different types of material use language differently. Think about reading Melville versus reading, say, The Economist or a technical manual.
Completely different styles.
Exactly. You get exposed to different structures, different word choices, formal, informal. It broadens your range much more than sticking to one thing. Classics, news, even older texts from places like Project Gutenberg.
And it needs to be a habit. Consistency.
Definitely. They talk about setting up a reading routine. Even 15 minutes a day makes a difference. But the sources suggest 30 minutes or more. That's where you see the biggest gains over time. It's just the sheer volume.
Okay, so volume through reading. What about listening?
Also crucial for exposure. Just soaking it in.
Conversations, music, videos, movies.
Yeah, movies are great. Maybe use subtitles at first, then try without. Podcasts, obviously. The key is to listen actively. Right. Notice words you don't know. TED.com gets a shout out because the talks often have transcripts you can check later.
Okay, so flood the brain with words through reading and listening. Exposure is step one, but you can't just let it wash over you, right? How do you actually grab onto those words, make them stick?
Right, this is the active part. And honestly, it can be kind of fun. The big message is, don't just skip unfamiliar words.
Look them up. Seems obvious, but...
It is, but it's crucial. Use a dictionary online, paper, whatever works, and they make a really strong case for using an English-to-English dictionary.
Why English to English?
Because the definition itself uses other English words. So you're not just getting a translation, you're potentially learning related words, seeing how the target word is explained in English. It builds connections.
Ah, I see. It keeps you immersed in the language.
Exactly. And then you need a way to keep track of these new words.
Like a notebook.
Yeah, a vocabulary journal, a simple notebook, even a notes app on your phone. Write the word, the definition, maybe a synonym or antonym, review it.
Okay. And technology can help here too, right? Apps and websites.
Oh, totally. They've really gamified vocabulary learning. You
Yeah.
got apps like Memrise, Vocabulary.com, WordUp, Anki, even broader language apps like Duolingo introduce vocab.
What do they do? Flashcards, quizzes?
Yeah, lots of interactive stuff. Quizzes, flashcards, matching games. Many use spaced repetition, which is really effective for memory.
Spaced repetition.
It's a system that shows you a word again just before you're likely to forget it. Helps lock it into long-term memory.
Clever. And there are simpler things too, like word of the day.
Absolutely. Emails, apps, calendars.
Yeah.
Learn one word, then try to use it that day. Low effort, consistent input.
What about games, like actual games?
Yes. Don't underestimate word games. Crosswords, the NY Times ones, can be brutal but good.
Oh, yeah.
Scrabble, Boggle, word searches.
Yeah.
They make you think about words, retrieve them, see them in context. It's learning, but it feels like play. Freerice.com is another good one. Learn vocab, donate rice.
Nice. And the classic flashcard still works too.
Absolutely. Physical or digital. Word on one side, definition, or maybe a sentence or picture on the other. Simple, effective for drilling.
Okay, so we're exposed, we're actively looking up words, noting them down, maybe using apps or games. How do we prevent them from just fading away? How do we make them part of our active vocabulary?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? The core principle the sources hammer home is use it or lose it.
Simple as that.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
If you don't actively retrieve and use those new words, they just won't stick.
So you need practice, repetition, like building muscle memory.
Exactly that. It involves seeing the word, hearing it, saying it, writing it. Activating it in different ways makes the memory stronger.
So how do you practice day to day?
Well, try using new words in conversation. Don't be afraid to try them out. Maybe ask someone, hey, does this word fit here? People are usually happy to help clarify.
Okay, push past the awkwardness. What about writing?
Definitely use them in writing. Journaling, emails, reports, whatever you write. Writing forces you to think more carefully about meaning and context. One source suggested actively taking on more writing tasks at work, if possible.
Built-in practice. Smart.
And make it personal. Don't just copy dictionary sentences. Create your own example sentences using the word sentences that mean something to you, relate to your life.
That makes sense. Creates a stronger hook for memory.
Yeah. Another great tip for speaking practice. Take something you've read or listened to and try to summarize it out loud.
Ah, okay. Using the new vocabulary you encountered.
Exactly. It forces you to retrieve those words and actually say them. You can even record yourself to hear how it sounds, build confidence.
Good idea. And what about organizing the words for review? You mentioned notebooks and flashcards.
Yeah, structured review is key. Don't just have one massive list. Revisit your notes or flashcards regularly. One method mentioned is grouping words like 100% known, a bit unsure, just learned.
And focus on the unsure ones.
Right. Spend more time reviewing the ones you haven't quite nailed yet. The goal is to move everything into the known pile. Repeated review like seeing or using a word 4 or 5 times over spaced intervals really helps cement it. That's the spaced repetition idea again.
Visualization helps too, I read.
It can. Create mental images, little stories involving the word, or link it to something personal, a memory, a place, a person. Sometimes the weirder the connection, the better it sticks.
Huh. I like that. And mind maps.
Mind maps, too. Put the word in the middle. Branch out with related ideas, definitions, synonyms, maybe draw simple pictures. Helps connect it to what you already know.
Okay, so those are the core habits. What if you want to go deeper? Get into more advanced vocabulary.
The sources suggest getting more specific. Focus on context. If you need vocabulary for your job in, say, HR.
Read HR materials, job postings, articles.
Exactly. Or if you're into finance, read the Financial Times. Immerse yourself in the language of that specific field. You'll pick up the relevant terms naturally.
And learn word families.
Yes. Don't just learn beauty. Learn beautiful, beautifully, beautify, maybe even beautician, as one source amusingly added. Knowing the different forms, noun, verb, adjective, adverb, gives you much more flexibility.
What else marks advanced vocabulary, according to the sources?
Focus on things native speakers use naturally. Collocations are huge.
Collocations, words that just sound right together.
Yeah, like fast food, not quick food.
Mm.
Or you throw a party. You don't usually make a party. You often just have to learn these through exposure.
Got it.
And synonyms.
Nuanced synonyms. Knowing the subtle difference between, say, poor and destitute. Or using a more precise scientific term like cetaceans instead of just dolphins and whales. A thesaurus helps find the right word, not just any different word.
And those tricky phrasal verbs, like look up, give in.
Definitely. They're everywhere in spoken English and can be challenging because their meaning isn't always obvious from the parts. They need focused attention.
So how do you tackle all that advanced stuff systematically?
One really effective strategy mentioned is theme-based learning. Pick a topic you're genuinely interested in. Could be anything. Space travel, baking, ancient Rome.
Okay.
And for a week or maybe a month, just immerse yourself in it. Read articles, watch documentaries, listen to podcasts about that theme every day.
So you encounter the relevant vocabulary and collocations repeatedly in context.
Exactly. It feels more natural, less like rote memorization. It just starts to sink in because you're seeing and hearing it used authentically around a topic you care about.
What about word roots, like Latin or Greek roots? That can help, yeah. Knowing ject means throw helps with inject, reject, project. But the sources also caution that it can be time-consuming and maybe not the most enjoyable method for everyone. Depends on your style.
And ultimately, the goal isn't just to use big words, right?
No, absolutely not. It's about accuracy and concision.
Yeah.
Using the appropriate word, like we said, sobriquet instead of nickname, might just confuse people.
Right.
But using a precise adjective or a specific noun that makes your meaning clearer, that's advanced vocabulary in action.
Okay, so pulling this all together, any final guiding principles for someone on this vocabulary journey?
Yeah, a few key things. First, know your learning style. Visual, auditory, hands-on. Pick strategies you actually enjoy. You're more likely to stick with them.
Makes sense. Don't force yourself to use flashcards if you hate them.
Exactly. And don't just use one method forever. Mix it up. Evolve your approach over time to keep challenging yourself.
Keep it fresh.
And make it a daily habit. Seriously, even 10-15 minutes. Consistency is so much more effective than trying to cram once a week.
Focus on words you'll actually use, right? Practicality.
Yes. Prioritize vocabulary relevant to your life, your work, your interests.
Be prepared for the occasional blank stare if you use a less common word.
Yeah, it might happen. Just have a simpler way to say it. It's okay. It's part of learning.
And one last tip from the sources.
Yeah.
Watch out for filler words.
Yeah, things like everyone uses them a bit, but relying on them too much can undercut a strong vocabulary. Try pausing briefly instead. It often sounds more considered.
Okay, so it's clear this is a long game. Building vocabulary is ongoing.
It really is. It's a continuous process, not something you just finish.
Yeah.
But the payoff is huge. Better communication, more confidence, deeper understanding. It's a worthwhile investment.
And the best way is probably a mix of things tailored to you.
Absolutely. A blend of lots of reading and listening, some active learning with notes or apps, and consistent practice using the words. Whatever combination works for you and keeps you engaged.
So we definitely encourage you to try some of this out. Read more widely. Maybe start that journal. Download a vocab app. Play Scrabble. Pick a theme.
Or just commit to that word of the day and actually try to slip it into a conversation. Start small, but start.
So here's a final thought to leave you with. If learning new words really expands your ability to express yourself and to understand others.
What unexpected doors might that richer vocabulary open? Not just for understanding the world, maybe, but also for understanding yourself in a new way.